All right, our first guest today is an old military buddy of mine. I'd like to introduce Will Nelson. Nelson, how you doing today?
Doing well, Eckert. How about you?
I am doing great. So, I brought you in here because I wanted to discuss your experience with playing D&D online. I've played role-playing games before with you, but it was always in person. And this is really going to help us understand the difference in how D&D has actually made a bit of a comeback since COVID has started. Let's go ahead and start off by discussing your current character you're playing and a little bit of the story that's going on.
So my current character is a blue dragonkin paladin named Tharseek, and I went that route because it was different from what I've usually played. I usually kept to like the ranger, stealth, assassin type, living in the shadows, things like that. Always been kind of along the same lines, whether it be in video games or the couple campaigns that you and I had played together in person. Always been the route I usually kept first. So this way, being the heavily armored tank, a little bit of support with the off healing, uh, different path is what I was seeking to do. Since it was a whole new experience anyway, a whole new group of people, I figured why not just do everything that was out of the comfort zone.
And how has taking yourself out of the comfort zone been for you so far?
It would be a lot better if my rolls were better, uh, meaning that the little button that I click to roll digital dice is not working in my favor very much for these campaigns. But other than that, I mean, the experience itself is pretty good.
That's hilarious. It always makes me think about the people that literally come to a game with a Crown Royal bag full of dice, and what they do is they pick out their favorite dice, or they'll swap out dice if they feel like one dice is just not rolling for them. That is certainly a difference in the digital versus physical world.
It's always nice to have that tangible. Like I feel like I at least have somewhat of a control over my fate. This it's just a random. I'm gonna click this button and see what the computer tells me my numbers are.
So, what's the consequences of the worst roll that you've gotten with this character?
Ooh, what have I done? I've gotten some bad rolls. I think the main one was I went to go strike with my warhammer and just had a complete terrible roll. Threw myself off balance. Ended up knocking my face into the door or something like that. Something really bad where it was like, all right, I can. This is going to be sink or swim here. Here's the pivotal move. As I'm getting just in the very beginning of the battle, and I'm going to do this entrance, and then I'm going to switch to the tank mode and just put the shield up and take all the damage. And right as the opening swing was there to gain aggro, I just flopped it.
But that makes for great story for everyone else.
It was pretty phenomenal to see everybody else try to scramble and figure out how do we now do this with our guy who's supposed to take punches just punched himself in the face.
So this is your first time playing remote, and I believe you've had two or three sessions so far.
I think we've done it around three.
What would you say is the biggest difference between playing online versus playing in person? I know we've already talked about having that tactile sense of a die in your hand, but what else have you noticed?
I would say that if so when we used to play in person, I was always kind of just myself in person. I never really got into character, never really did the voices or anything like that. Just because it's like, hey, I'm amongst these people, they can see me, they know me. I got to see them at work the next day or whatever the case may be. So I never really got out of my comfort zone with the campaigns that I had done in the past. Whereas this one, my wife had found this group through Facebook, I believe, and kind of got into it and said, hey, we're going to do this virtual campaign. And having only ever known my wife, and this is her first campaign, she's never played D&D ever before, so this is her first time with any of it. And me not knowing anybody else and knowing that I'll probably never meet these people or whatever, so I just kind of gave it my all and actually I do a voice with this character. I get into it more. I dive deeper into the role playing of the actual game versus how I used to when I was in person and the eyes were more on you kind of thing.
Can you give us a brief example of what your character sounds like?
Tharsik has a low voice with a rasp to it, and he speaks like this.
You've almost got the perfect narrator voice going on as well. All right, so like you said, you're playing with people you've never met before. Has that it has obviously allowed you to expand your play a little bit because you don't have to deal with them on a daily basis, but has there been any withdrawals from it?
The downsides would be, hmm, I guess you kind of feel more like, so it's when it comes to like the DM, the dungeon master is making calls. He's trying. You can tell he's trying to steer the group a certain direction, but not knowing the person or not having the side conversations or anything like that. Having any background to it, it's like I don't know what you're trying to ask me to do or trying to sway me to do or the group to do, and all of the things that we're trying to do to try and go that direction are obviously not what we're supposed to be doing because none of it's working out properly. We're just not grasping that. We're not taking the hint. Uh, and especially since you don't know the person or what they're trying to do or able to really get, hey, the next day at work or the next day time you see them, like, hey, what are we going for, what should the feeling be? It's just because we only go once a month, so it's like, all right, we're not figuring this out. The couple hours of play that we have once a month really didn't go the way we wanted it to. I guess we'll just try again next time.
That's a very good example of even the remote work from home when you just don't have that face to face interaction and you can't quite feel each other out as well.
Yeah, there's no clear what is the intent behind here, what's the clear direction. I'm just kind of winging it and trying to see where I get.
So, 3 years down the line, you've completed this story and you're deciding you want to run another group. Where do you think you're going to do this? Online, or are you going to bring in people that you know and try to do it in person?
So the mechanisms that we use to play online are nicer with the way technology and everything has come about since the few years ago that we played together. So the website that we play on with the map and the icons that show our characters and we can kind of move around. It gives you more of a visual. It's more uh, embracing of the game, and I can feel like I'm like, hey, okay, almost like video game esque, where I can click on my icon, I can see my character sheet, I can update my character sheet right then and there as we go. Uh, so I would do it if I were to run one as a DM or anything like that. I'd probably go the same route and do it the virtual way, whether I know the people or not.
I suppose there's no reason you couldn't just have everyone on a iPad or something sitting in the same room doing that.
Right, everybody could just be on their laptops, just like how the wife and I play now, but be in the same room together. You could do it both ways.
Bringing it into the digital age is certainly a option here. Well, we've got just about a minute left. Did you have any other final thoughts that you wanted to share to other people who might be considering doing an online experience?
I would honestly just say, hey, if you've been thinking about doing it, just take the leap of faith. You can find groups online through Facebook or whatever social media outlet you use. Uh, we did it. Like I said, this is my wife's first time. She's having a blast with it. If you've thought about it, take it. And if you don't like it, then hey, no big deal. You can just bow out and go your separate way. But just take the risk and embrace it.
That is great advice. There's certainly no harm to doing it. Worst case scenario, you just say, I don't think this was for me, and go back to what you were doing. Well, Nelson, it's been great having you on here, and I want to thank you once again for showing up for this session.
I definitely appreciate you having me. It was good fun.
All right, well, thank you very much, and you have a good day.
You as well.